Broadcasting from Park Avenue West, you're watching WMFD Television, Channel 68.1, Mansfield.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Focus on North Central Ohio, a very special crossover event tonight with Sparking the Conversation. We're titling it, Focusing the Conversation on 988, the Suicide Hotline. And I'm going to read something to you. The bravest thing I have ever done was continuing to live when I wanted to die. That was spoken by a young actress back in her early 20s when she admitted that she was suicidal, she was drug addicted, and she had smoldering depression. We're talking about Juliette Lewis, the actress. She finally came forward in her 40s and is now sharing her story of recovery and feeling happy again. I welcome to tonight's panel, and boy, this is going to be an interesting show. A lot of opinions, a lot of interesting conversation. I'm going to start with you, Jeff Heck, in the middle of WMFD Sparking the Conversation.
It's great to be here.
Of 33 Forever. You absolutely, and thank you for the idea, because we kind of started with you on this idea. You also represent being a father, and you are a survivor of a daughter who took her own life.
Correct.
We turn over here to Tony Coder. You're new and familiar to me, met you on Zoom, but you're the executive director of the Ohio Suicide Prevention Association Foundation?
Foundation, yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you're going to share a lot of information on both shows tonight.
Excellent.
And we hope that our viewers will be watching this full hour conversation. Joe Trollian, friend of many, executive director of the Richland County Mental Health and Recovery Services Board. We're going to be chiming in about Richland County and 988, the suicide hotline, and what's to be expected here in North Central Ohio, eventually starting in July. July 16th is going to be a very big day. That is where 988, in lieu of 911, will become a number dedicated to suicide and to calls regarding mental health. Tony, this sounds like a dream come true, a project that should just be a perfect scenario for states across America. But there's hiccups in the system. Should be a celebratory moment, but is it really, knowing what we know coming into July?
I think it is a celebratory moment because what we have right now is a 10-digit number that is really, really hard to remember. You know, just like we use 911, everybody knows what that is. That's what we want with 988. Now, it took 911 probably a decade to finally get up to its full capacity to what we know 911 to be now. But I really am excited about the eventual opportunity that we have here. It kind of goes along with what Governor DeWine was saying in his State of the State, that we need to rebuild the system. And this is a perfect entry point for folks who are struggling with mental health issues.
There are some hurdles, though, that need to be breached before we get to a scenario where this is going to be an effective phone number. And we've all talked about this when we were talking about this show. Wait times, forcing callers to hang up. Maybe they just don't have the time to wait. Being put on hold. Joe, I'm going to let you respond.
Sure. I mean, one of the biggest things that we're concerned about is calls getting where they need, when they need to be answered. There's a lot of call volume. The numbers that were estimated by the federal government and from some state surveys was significantly lower than numbers that we were able to produce from the local system. Tony can probably give you some better numbers, but I know just in Richland County, we field between our helpline and our warm line 6,500 calls a year, and we usually represent about 1% of the state. So multiply that times 100, that's probably what you're looking at. Now, are all those calls going to go to 988? No, but potentially they could, and we have a lot of calls because our warm line and our hotline work well together, that they may call the hotline first. They'll call 522-HELP and then get transferred to 522-5300 because it seems to be something more appropriate for a warm line, or vice versa.
Very good. And we're going to actually post that helpline throughout the evening. We want people to feel assured that this is a local number. This number is going to get them to the right people in the right amount of time. Tell you what, we are coming up on our second segment already, and we're going to be talking further about suicide, about 988, the new line that is coming in July next, on focusing the conversation on the new 988 number.
Everybody has a flashlight, but can your flashlight do this? Or how about this? The Bell & Howell Tactical Flashlight can. Similar to flashlights used by elite military units, the Bell & Howell Tac Light can do things no ordinary flashlight can do. Look, this civilian flashlight puts out pathetic light, but our military-grade Tac Light, that's 22 times as bright. It's so bright, it can be seen up to 5 nautical miles away. And if that something that goes bump in the night turns out to be someone, only a Tac Light has a super bright strobe that can stun and disorient would-be attackers. A car battery will stop working in sub-zero temperatures, but even getting frozen in a block of ice couldn't make our Tac Light stop working. And it'll keep working when fully submerged in water. Even 212-degree boiling water is tough enough to survive getting run over by a Humvee. Try that with a regular flashlight. Compact and lightweight, it goes where you go, so you can feel safe in dark places at night or just have the right light for emergency situations. And there's never been a better choice for camping, fishing, or hunting. What else? 5 preset modes. It's made of high-grade aircraft aluminum. The bulb lasts 100,000 hours. I mean, there's just nothing like it on the market today. Here's how to get yours.
Tactical flashlights of this quality are selling right now for $60 or more, but Bell & Howell has slashed their price to just $19.99, and they'll even ship it to you free. Plus, every Tac Light comes with a lifetime guarantee. Want even more? Call now and you can get a second Tac Light. Just pay a separate fee. Here's how to order.
To get your Tac Light for only $19.99, call 1-800-371-0080 or go to trytaclight.com. This offer is not available in stores, so call 1-800-371-0080. That's 1-800-371-0080 or order online at trytaclight.com. 1-800-371-0080.
Welcome back to a very special crossover event. It's Focus on North Central Ohio with Sparking the Conversation. We have retitled the show for tonight because a very important topic, and this is something that is coming to the United States, to our state, that will affect us locally on the county level as well. 988, the new suicide hotline. I've got a great panel here: Tony Coder, Jeff Heck, and also Joe Trollian. We left off with some of the things that could be a hurdle, and we know that there are many at this time. Geolocating is not in place either, and that's going to be important for lines that aren't necessarily a 419 area code. Joe, I'll let you give a brief overview on that.
Absolutely. We have so evolved beyond the landline.
Yes.
Most people use cell phones. The nice thing with cell phones, you can get those set up anywhere. You know, I moved from Wayne County, came here, kept my cell phone. So my call would not necessarily come out as a registered Richland County resident. So where all Richland County calls are supposed to go to the Nord Center in Lorain County, who's our regional coverage, my call would actually go to Stark County. So I'm already starting off talking to people who are not familiar with the services in Richland County
that we offer.
And I have friends who have out-of-state numbers. They're going to an out-of-state lifeline who absolutely will not have any access to what information is available for Richland County residents. So that's a big concern of mine, because probably 90+% of the calls that we receive on the warm line or the helpline come from cell phones.
Jeff Heck, you are an advocate, obviously. 33 Forever was founded by Danielle, your daughter.
Right.
She took her life at 33. To have a line dedicated to suicide prevention for anyone to either have to be put on hold, let me see if what I can find for you. Time is of the essence. You lost a daughter. You know how impactful this line could be if successfully implemented.
So I don't want anybody to misunderstand. When I first heard about 988, I was as excited as anyone. I just thought this was going to be fantastic, exactly what we need as a country. The problem is we're just not ready for it. We don't have the structure in place yet. And what you said, Shelley, is so true, which is that time is literally lives. And I think the statistics will show that about 60%, maybe up to 70% of calls get answered now on the existing lifelines. Only 70%, at least answered locally. And otherwise they're going maybe to a regional center, maybe they're not getting answered at all. The thing that 988 is going to do, and those are with the phone lines that Tony referenced earlier, which is they're kind of hard to remember and people don't always know where they're calling and they have to look it up. So 988, the concept is great, but what it's going to do is, and the statistics show this, it's going to result in a great increase in the number of calls, and it's the number of calls we're not able to handle yet now. And so the biggest concern I have as an advocate is that our system is not yet structured in place. The concept is amazing and it will be great when we're there, but we're not there yet. And so we have to rely on some of the structure we already have to make sure we're taking care of people, because the worst thing you could do with someone who's in a mental health crisis is to put them on hold or not answer the call.
Amen.
And if we have a high percentage of those, 40% maybe, those additional calls are going to be bumped up by knowing the easy to access 988 number. And then all of a sudden, how many calls are we missing? How many lives is it going to cost? And that's the total opposite of what we want 988 to do.
Absolutely. Joe, we're going to bring up the signs, the warning signs of suicide, and I'm going to have Ryan prompt that now. I think it's really important that we still continue to educate about what is going on in people's minds. Here's an example of some things that parents, friends, teachers can watch for. Give us a quick overview of probably some of the most important things here that we need to know.
Sure, some of the most important ones. There are some obvious ones. When people are feeling very lethargic, they're withdrawing.
Yeah.
A big myth is that if people talk about it, they're not really serious. Yes, they are. We found most people will have a long discussion about their actual plans.
Will they really?
They will. And so and you're not putting ideas into people's heads by asking the question. You know, I've worked with professionals that have a real hard time saying, are you thinking about killing yourself? That is a hard phrase to say, but boy, it's very blunt and to the point. And if we can say that, you're probably going to get a pretty honest answer back. One of the signs that I always want to throw out there to people is be very leery of the person who starts to really start doing better. They start feeling better, they talk to you, they're much more pleasant, and you start to think, oh, things must be resolving. A lot of people, when they finally come to the conclusion that I'm going to kill myself and I'm okay with this and this is the approach I'm going to take, there's a sense of relief. And a lot of people will tell you, well, they seemed fine just a few days before. That may have been why.
Found
so
peace, though.
Keep talking to people. We want people to reach out for help.
Tony, I know you see this all of the time. It's so very important that we really hone in on and not be afraid to have the conversation with the people in our lives.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And to piggyback on what Joe was saying, I went to a funeral of a 22-year-old man just last week, and he did it in his own workplace. And I talked to some of the folks who worked in his workplace, and they said, yeah, he'd been struggling, but he came back from lunch the happiest we'd seen him in weeks. And then after lunch, he ended up taking his life in the bathroom.
That is a classic sign that we need to be aware of. They find peace before they commit the act.
Absolutely.
Oh. Well, I'll tell you what, we are going to talk too about coping skills. Do people today have the right coping skills? What can we do to help them through this type of crisis? This conversation will continue here moments. 988, the new suicide hotline, it is due to be live starting July 16th. Our panel of experts and friends, we will continue this conversation. Segment 3 next.
I'm Richland County Commissioner Cliff Mears. Since becoming commissioner, I've been involved with many projects that improve the lives of Richland County residents. Initiatives like flood mitigation in Shelby, the new communications tower in Lucas that improves emergency and cell service, wastewater improvements, and building a new courtroom to better serve our justice system. Just a few of the many ways I'm working as your public servant, but I need your support. Please vote for me, Cliff Mears, in the May 3rd Republican primary. Paid for by citizens to retain Cliff Mears.
Take a trip south of the border at Los Tres Mayas. Try one of their authentic specialties like pepper jack steak fajitas, the sizzling molcajete with grilled steak, chicken, and jumbo shrimp, el tapateo, 2 flour tortillas rolled, fried, and filled with chicken, barbecue pork burrito, and a beef enchilada, the super chimichanga stuffed with shredded chicken and beef, Don't miss Margarita Monday, 12-ounce regular margaritas for only $1.99, and enjoy happy hour drink specials at Los Tres Mayas.
Careful, your regular old can opener leaves razor sharp edges.
Ouch!
You need the new Safety Can Express. Now you can pop the top off and leave perfectly smooth edges on the lid and the can. Other openers use blades to cut through the lid, leaving razor sharp edges. Safety Can Express actually unseals the lid from the side, leaving smooth, safe edges. Safety Can works on broken pop-top cans, dented cans, big heavy cans, small odd-shaped cans too. No more sharp steel when Safety Can breaks the seal. Call and get the new Safety Can Express for just $29.99. This offer is not available on Amazon. But wait, call today and you can double your order. Just pay separate fee. We will even ship it right to your door, absolutely free. Call now.
Call 1-800-318-6704 or visit safetycanexpress.com. So call 1-800-318-6704 now.
We're discussing 988, the new suicide hotline, which will replace 911 beginning July 1st. And that will be for mental health calls and for those feeling suicidal at the time. 911 will still exist, and so will our local number too. And I throw that to Joe Trollian. Joe Trollian, we have a helpline in place.
We absolutely
That
do.
is a very successfully run helpline.
We have been running a helpline. It's 419-522-4357 or 522-HELP.
And we are
It's been
posting
in
that now.
existence
Yep.
since 1984.
And it connects callers to where?
Absolutely, it goes directly to, it's now Catalyst Life Services that has a call center. They're actually on a crisis stabilization unit, so it's manned 24/7. They work very closely with Mansfield Police Department and the Sheriff's Department, so they are able to get dispatches if there needs to be an emergency well-being check. They are able to dispatch health officers when needed if we need to meet people at the hospital. But it's been a great number for getting that immediate access to care.
Let me ask you a totally separate situation. Let's talk about coping skills. I think we need to bring this up. Baby boomers and pre-baby boomers, more equipped to handle crises. Would you say that that is true with today's generation?
Biggest problem with today's generation is their world is so much larger.
Yes.
You know, when I was growing up, we had a bad event that happened in Galion, Ohio. And you maybe read about it in the Mansfield newspaper, but that's about all the further it went. So it impacted us. We huddled around, we dealt with it, we moved on. Now you're seeing events that'll happen worlds away. My daughter's junior high is doing a fundraiser for Ukraine. I mean, they're very impacted by everything that happens in the world. That much care and concern and frankly overstimulation can be very, very difficult to deal with, especially when you're young and you're just kind of learning how to cope with stress. We got to kind of start at the shallow end and walk our way into the pool before we actually were swimming in the deep end.
Boy, that's a
These
good
kids
way
are
to say that, Joe.
They're jumping right off the diving board.
Good point. Jeff, I'm going to throw this one to you. I read that 550 suicidal individuals who did reach out to a hotline, whether it's a 10-digit or a 3-digit, 95% report that call kept them alive. That is huge.
It is huge.
These people want to be heard.
They do, and I think the other thing that, we talk about a suicide crisis line. It's a mental health line. A lot of times people just need to be heard. They need someone to talk to validate what they're going through, to get some calming words. Those calls can de-escalate a situation so well. And so that's what also makes the critical importance of having somebody available, trained, local, having that resource that can provide a referral to somebody if they need help beyond the call. A lot of times the call itself de-escalates the situation, but I think it's important for people to know that it's somebody in their local community or their local region that knows what's out there to deal with whatever's next and not being answered in Massachusetts when you're in Mansfield, Ohio, or not being answered at all. And that's why I think the 522 help number here in Richland County is so important to keep in mind and to continue to use until 988, as good as the idea is it's going to roll out before it's ready to roll, okay? So I think we need to make sure we're still using the existing resources in place that we're promoting that, and that we're not counting on 988 to be what the 911 system is to mental health. It's not ready to be that yet. Someday, yes, it's just not ready. And we're going to be talking about that, I know, later and in the second half of this crossover event. But it's critical that we continue to be able to help people get answered and help locally in their region for these calls.
Absolutely. I see Tony agreeing with much of what you're saying. 988, will this remove the burden from law officers? I think that's part of the reason why this was initiated, shifting it to mental health professionals. There'll also be a text option at some point. So ideally, when can we see, or what do we need to see happen to make this effective?
Well, I think we need, quite frankly, more funding for this. This was an unfunded mandate from the federal government. We're grateful that the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services has put, a couple $1 million into this to get it going. But there's a cliff that money does run out. And if we don't have a funding stream to continue this, then I think we're really going to have problems. I mean, Joe's only got a certain amount of money that he is able to spend, and across the entire spectrum. So prevention, treatment, aftercare, all of those things. And when that money runs out, there are sadly things that are going to go unseen. Want to help Joe because
yeah, absolutely.
Well, and that's the thing. We've been funding our line since 1984. I mean, it's a good chunk of change to be able to do that. It's a service that we offer to Richland County residents. They're now looking at regionals, which then it becomes very difficult for me to say, I'm going to take out my local tax dollars that come from my local levy, put it at a regional location, where maybe I'm also funding people that are from other counties that didn't pay into that. And then I start having the transparency issue where taxpayers are going, why am I paying for this levy if you're helping people in Erie County or in Ottawa County that they're not paying into that particular levy. And so it becomes a real difficulty, and this infrastructure piece has been the huge one. It's why our helpline is not one of the regionals, because we didn't have the infrastructure to meet all of those requirements. Ours works great for Richland County, but it wouldn't meet all the requirements that were needed to become a regional lifeline.
Not for 988. 988 is coming in July 16th actually, whether we're ready or not. In our final segment tonight on focusing the conversation on 988, the suicide hotline, we'll hear from all three of our panel people here, our experts in the field, next.
In the primary on May 3rd, Ohioans have a choice for the U.S. Senate. Choose a fresh voice for Ohio. Elect Neil Patel to the U.S. Senate. Neil is a successful businessman employing over 1,000 people. Neil favors Trump policies and border security. Neil lives a life of faith, freedom, and service to America.
Hi, I'm Neil Patel, and I'm running for the U.S. Senate. I ask for your vote on May 3rd. Thank you. I'm Neil Patel, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Patel for U.S. Senate. Carol Kane, Treasurer.
Menards has everything to grow the perfect lawn. Don't wait, it's all 11% off. No matter the conditions of your yard, we have the right grass seed for you. Grab a 3-pound bag of Schultz Sun and Shade. Hardy, shady, or high-traffic grass seed for $8.99 after 11% rebate. Keep your lawn green and evenly watered with a brand new sprinkler system. Visit our plumbing department for Rainbird sprinkler heads and components. All 11% off at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Carlos. First time setting foot inside a tattoo shop. Second picture his daughter has posted to her story. Third check on his bucket list. And 4 years of cancer-free checkups at Ohio Health.
Welcome back to Focusing the Conversation on 988, the suicide hotline that will come, whether we're ready or not, July 16th. And what can we do about it to be prepared? What can you, the viewers, do out there to be involved in the process? And I'm going to throw that to all three of you at this point tonight. 988 is happening, whether or not it is ready. This is being issued by the federal government. We got to get the backing behind this financially. We have a lot of work to do. So what can we do? Let's talk about our legislators. How do we use them, Jeff?
Well, and I think that's a great way to approach it. Tony already talked about the funding cliff, if you will. There is some money that's being set aside by the state government to help that, although it's not enough. It's a start, but it's not nearly enough. But it's going to end, and really after that first year. And it's going to be critical for us to be talking to our state legislators to tell them, look, you've got to prioritize this, because literally I'm concerned that we're going to lose lives because of this program that's wonderful in concept but not ready in practice. And so I'm worried that it's going to make the problem we already have, which is bad, worse. So we need to reach out to our legislators. And I know we're going to show the contact information for our local legislators here in Richland County on the screen. Senator Mark Romanchuk, SD22 at ohiosenate.gov, 614-466-7505. Senator Romanchuk's a great guy. He'll listen to you, and he wants to hear what the problems are. So reach out to him. And our local state representative here in Richland County is Representative Marilyn John. That's Rep 03 at ohiohouse.gov.
Yes.
614-466-5802. And those contacts and any contact, if you're outside of the Richland County area, get to know who your state senator is, your state representative, your state legislators, and reach out to them and tell them, hey, what's going on with 988? We need funding. We need you to push that funding, because we can't afford to put this on the back burner. And it's the cart is before the horse right now. And it's not Ohio's fault. It's happening with every state. Every state is struggling with this. So that's important.
All right, and Joe, very important too that we continue to promote the local line, because that is going to be something that's constant.
Absolutely. We are seeing a serious spike in suicide rates in Richland County. My concern is 988 is coming at a time when everybody's feeling the most desperate. So please reach out to 419-522-HELP. Believe me, once 988 is ready, I'll be screaming it from the rooftops. But we need to make sure that people are getting to a line where they can get the help they need when they need it.
All right, very good. Tony Coder, Jeff, and Joe, thank you so much. This has been a great episode. But up next, it's not over. Donna Heck of Sparking the Conversation. She's continuing this conversation about 988, the hotline. Please stay tuned. Be proactive, because the 988 switchover, it needs your help as well. This has been Focus, and I am so proud to have been a part of this project. It continues. Do not turn the dial. Next.
This program discusses sensitive mental health issues, including suicide. Viewer discretion is advised.
Maybe an hour after we got the message that we lost Danny, Danny's sister said to us, we were all crying, and she says, what do we do? What do we tell people? And I'm like, baby, we got to tell them the truth. This is nothing that can be hidden, because otherwise the suicide will win.
We're not mental health professionals. This is just something that happened to our family. We direct people other places. And most important of all, I think, don't quit. Keep fighting, keep living. Things will get better.
To Sparking the Conversation, and this is a special episode, and I'd like to thank Shelley Kemper for her wonderful help in this 988 conversation. Tonight we're going to continue the conversation from Focus on North Central Ohio, and it's part 2 of Focusing the Conversation on 988, the Suicide Helpline. We have with us 3 amazing panelists. We have Tony Coder from the Ohio Suicide Prevention Foundation. We have Jeff Heck, who is my co-host, and we have Joe Trollian, who is Executive Director of the Richland County Mental Health Board and Services. So what I'd like to ask you first, Tony, what is 988? So our viewers can understand a little bit about it and why it was created.
Think 988 as the 911 for mental health. Okay. So if you call 911, you're going to call for a fire or whatever other kind of public service emergency. 988 is the mental health, behavioral health emergency that you have. You know, what the impetus was, I think, really was to make sure that we treat mental health as a health concern and not a law enforcement concern, which is what we're doing now.
Okay. That's a beautiful way to look at it. Now, the one thing I do want to say, because I'm going to ask a follow-up to Joe, but you say it's like 911. You said when you were speaking with Shelley, 911 took 10 years to get it all together. Mm-hmm. And we are going to do 988 in 10 weeks?
Yeah, so July 16th, this goes live across across not only the state of Ohio, but across the country is when this goes live. We've been advocating it for years, simply because the number was so hard to remember. And when you're in a mental health crisis, the last thing you need is what is that 10-digit number that I'm trying to remember?
Yep, exactly. So Joe, I know you are very excited about this, yes. But can you explain a little bit about what you think maybe, as Shelley said, a hiccup, what we might need to work on for this?
Well, there's two real key areas. One is we are a cell phone society. We need what's called geolocation technology. It's something that our 911s do. Regardless of who you dial, when you dial 911 on your cell phone, based on the tower you ping off of, it'll get you to the correct 911 that's covering that area. Right now, the way 988 is set up, it's based on your exchange. So whatever your exchange is for your cell phone, if it's not a Richland County exchange, you may not go to the lifeline that's assigned to Richland County. So we have 19 of these regional lifelines in Ohio. You may go to any one of those 19, or you may go out of state if you have an exchange that's an out-of-state exchange. So we need that geolocation technology. The other piece is we need an interoperable database. We know, I mean, I'm one board, one county. Our services change regularly. I put out a one-pager every 6 months, and there are always new edits, new phone numbers, changes in location, new services that are being started up. So we work really hard to make sure our Richland County community is well aware of what's new in the community at any given time. This now has to happen for 88 counties. And we need a system that if you get to the lifeline that's in Lorain County, they can punch it up on the computer and go, oh, well, here's the services that are available to you in Greene County. And so here's the number that you're going to want to call, or let's help you, let's do a warm handoff to this location, or here's the dispatcher, here's the mobile crisis team that's available, how to access them. Those are very important and very key pieces. And if all they have, like our region will be covered by Lorain County. Lorain County has a copy of our one-pager. They have our priority lists. They are also covering, I believe, 10 other counties.
Wow.
And that's if you are fortunate enough to have a Richland County exchange, you'll go there. Otherwise, you may go to Stark County, you may go to Delaware. It really all depends on what number you're calling from.
Well, I want to ask you one question, Jeff, because you saying that, Joe, makes me think of our daughter in California. Mm-hmm. 419 number. She calls because she has help or needs help for somebody. What do you think would happen?
Well, the real life situation is kind of scary, and you know, some of our kids live out of state. They still have their old 419 numbers, right? So somebody like that who lives in a different state now calls. They get routed to wherever they are. So a call from Charlotte, North Carolina comes to Mansfield, Ohio, goes to Lorain County. Lorain County has no idea what's going on in Charlotte, North Carolina because of no geolocation. The other problem with it is the reality of how this is going to work is right now, the statistics are with the 10-digit number that Tony referenced, you're looking at a situation where you make a call, 60% of the time it's being answered by somebody in your region. Again, assuming geolocation. 60%, that's only 60% of the calls we're getting now. Once the statistics also show that once 988 starts, they're expecting a 40% at least uptick in the number of calls because now it's going to be so much easier to remember. So you've got 60% of calls that are being answered now. Now we're losing 40% of those. The new 40%, to me, that makes this a crisis, because we're now dealing with more numbers, with less service, with less help, without the direct help. So you call one place, and let's say you get answered. You get transferred somewhere else, you get transferred somewhere else, you get transferred somewhere else, and they don't know anything about you or what you have near you in that area. It's really potentially scary, and that's why 988 is, as I said in the last segment, it's the cart before the horse. We're not ready for it. It's a great idea, not ready for it.
Yep, when we get back, we need to take a break, and when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about the infrastructure and a little bit of what we can do in our community to bring 988. We'll be back right after this.
'Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Or as we like to call it, the can't have just one deal. Get a McDouble, small fries, McChicken, or 6-piece chicken McNuggets. Get 2 of the same, or mix and match.
Catalyst Life Services, a comprehensive behavioral health organization, has been serving the community for 70 years. Our wide array of wraparound services and our ability to treat the whole person is what sets us apart. It's everything you need in one place: mental health, crisis, detox and addiction services, case management, and peer recovery support. We even offer vocational programming to get you back to work. Catalyst Life Services. Call today and get the help you need.
Get the Nature Stone garage floor of your dreams for as low as $2.99 a square foot and never replace your garage flooring again. Act now to take advantage of this incredible offer while supplies last. Schedule your free cost estimate today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
You may want to attend college,
but you have a full-time job and kids that need your full-time attention.
How can you possibly attend college?
You learn online at South University.
Earn your degree while you still earn a paycheck.
Take care of your future while you take care of your children.
Earn your degree any hour, any day, from anywhere.
And the credit transfer policies also make it easier to return to college.
Earn your degree online from instructors who go way beyond the classroom to help their students change their lives.
And help their students change the lives of their children.
Learn online at South University.
Call 1-800-431-7028.
College is a road to your destination.
And every journey begins with a starting point.
Start from South University online.
The convenience of taking classes where you want.
The flexibility of taking classes when you want.
So you can become who you want.
South University Online.
Call 1-800-431-7028. That's 1-800-431-7028.
This program discusses sensitive mental health issues, including suicide. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back to our focus episode of Sparking the Conversation, and we are actually focusing the conversation on 988. The new 988 number is a national 3-digit code for a suicide prevention hotline. Once it's implemented, it's going to be America's health safety net. It's going to provide support, but in the meantime, we need an infrastructure. Tony, can you tell us a little bit about what infrastructure is needed and where we are with that right now?
Well, we need a platform that all of these different services work upon. So, I think that's the most important piece that we're still waiting for the federal government from. We don't have the national platform that this is going to be set up. To Joe's point, the geolocation services, even workforce is an issue right now, where how are we going to fill all of these jobs in call centers to make sure that folks are going to be able to be answered? Those are big questions. And I know that we've been at the state working as a planning team for about two years on this, but it's still some concerns.
Well, and you talk about concerns. Right now, 5 people die by suicide in Ohio every single day. And we talk a lot about statistics, but a statistic to me is my daughter. We are one of the ones, Jeff, you're here talking about as a concerned parent, a concerned father, a concerned citizen. With everyone that dies by suicide, over 300 consider it. Joe, what is that going to do for our state, and what do we want the people to know?
Well, 988, as I had said in the last segment, is coming out at a time when people are desperate for help. People are going to see 988 and they're going to go, that's the answer, that's what I want to call. So I know we're hearing that they're expecting call volume to increase. I think it's going to increase even more. And the more it increases and the less that we have the infrastructure in place, the more difficult it's going to be, because these are expensive programs for the simple fact that you have to build them as what we call a firehouse model, to where you look at your high volume time, how many staff you need to answer your calls, and you have to have that 24/7, because that high volume time could move. And so you have staff that, at sometimes they may be sitting around playing solitaire, doing what they need to, but they need to be ready for when that call comes in. So you can't just fund 1 or 2 staff to hope that covers enough hours for the hotline. And that's where we're running into, even the staff that the state's promoting was for 2 full-time equivalents per hotline. That's not even a 24/7 coverage.
Goodness. You know, we've got the hotline, our local crisis helpline, which is 419-522-HELP. We want I want you guys to put that number in your phone if you live in the Richland County and surrounding areas, because you know if something happens, if there's a crisis, you can dial that, put it on speed dial, and you will get someone locally, because that line is prepared.
Absolutely.
Yep. And we need to know that we're going to be able to save lives. You know, Joe said something to us, you can only be in stress mode for so long, and then you become exhausted. Jeff, you and I talk about on the show about a resilience bucket.
We do. I talk about it all the time, and you know, the pandemic has been a great example of that, because I think, and it happened when 9/11 happened as well, where we come together when there's a crisis, when there's something going on in our society. And we did it during the pandemic. At first, everybody, okay, we're going to get through this together. We're going to fight the battle. We're going to knuckle down and do the things we need to do. But as you get past the time where your resilience gets used up, you don't have anything left in the bucket, and you don't have any ability to get it filled back up. And I think that's why we're seeing some of the numbers going up that we're seeing. They're alarming. They're alarming all over the country. They're alarming in Richland County. They're alarming all over Ohio. We talk about it all the time. And again, you got to remember, those are just the completed suicides. That's not the attempts. You just said, for every person who's thinking about it, for every person who completes, 300 are thinking about it. Think about those numbers. It's frightening, and it's going to put a big stress on our system.
It really is. And Tony, if you can just even piggyback a little bit on that, on what you are telling people in the entire state of Ohio when a situation like this comes up.
We are warning folks that, we're starting to see a surge. I talked to Butler County. I've talked to folks here in Richland County, Cuyahoga, Washington County the other day. And, we need to come together. We also need to make sure that that folks are, just to the point of 988 even, that they know where the resources are, that when they need the help, that they have that in their phone or on the refrigerator, on a magnet, or whatever it is, to make sure that they get the help they need right when they need it.
And no disrespect to what Tony's saying now, but I think, and not disrespecting him at all, but I think that number 988, that doesn't need to be in the phone yet. It's not ready to deal with what we have. So as you said, Donna, at the beginning of this segment, that local helpline, or still the 800 number, the 1-800-273-8255 number, which is the National Suicide Lifeline, all those numbers still need to be in use until 988's ready to go.
Absolutely, and that's something that we do tell people too, to put that in our phone. The National Suicide Hotline number, 1-800-273-TALK, or the crisis text line. If you or someone you know is struggling, text the crisis text line, which is, you can text the word HOPE or HELP to 741-741. We're going to take a break again from this episode, and we are going to be back with more on Focusing the Conversation.
If he only knew
how much we would miss him,
and how many lives she impacted just by being here.
I wish I had understood that the behaviors I was witnessing actually were warning signs.
I wish she had known there were other options.
The hard work you put in now will pay off.
You don't really know what you're going to be in the future. You could be the next doctor, the next psychiatrist that helps those children understand their mental health issues.
If you've been injured Whether personal injury, medical malpractice, or wrongful death, you are not alone.
And you definitely don't have to fight alone. While you focus on recovery, let the HEC law offices focus on your case.
With over 45 years of combined legal experience, we understand your situation and the entire overwhelming legal process.
With an injury you're already handling too much, let our team be your advocate.
I'm Jeff Heck.
And I'm Jeff Stifler.
We're Mansfield's Injury Lawyers. Call us today or visit us at hecklawoffices.com.
In the primary on May 3rd, Ohioans have a choice for the U.S. Senate. Choose a fresh voice for Ohio. Elect Neil Patel to the U.S. Senate. Neil is a successful businessman employing over 1,000 people. Neil favors Trump policies and border security. Neil lives a life of faith, freedom, and service to America.
Hi, I'm Neil Patel, and I'm running for the U.S. Senate. I ask for your vote on May 3rd. Thank you. I'm Neil Patel, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Patel for U.S. Senate. Carol Kane, Treasurer.
Welcome back to Focusing the Conversation, the crossover event regarding 988, the new suicide helpline coming this July. What we want to do, we talked about it before in the other episode about the signs of suicide. Tony, why don't you recap that while we have the readers be able to look at it on, the viewers be able to read it on our screen, what the warning signs are if somebody in your life is expressing maybe concerns.
Getting too much sleep, too little sleep, so their sleep patterns have changed. Maybe they have always been, around, and all of a sudden you haven't been seeing them lately. The other thing, and I think it's really, really important, is, and I know that this was for me when my son has mental health issues, was that don't deny it. Don't say, oh, it's just a phase or something like that. Instead, okay, let's look into this a little bit more. It doesn't mean you're a bad parent, doesn't mean you're a bad person or a bad spouse or whatever. It just means that, this is a health condition, and just like cancer or any other health condition you might have, this is not the cause of anyone.
Well, the Ohio State has the word REACH that they recommend people kind of remember. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's R for recognize the warning signs, E, engage with empathy, A, ask directly, are you thinking about hurting yourself? I've noticed some things are going on, are you okay? C, communicate hope, tell them we are going to find a way to help you. And H, help. Get them the access that they need to care as in our community. Jeff, we talked also about our legislator. What should we do as concerned citizens, and who should we contact that we are not ready and we need to get things going?
So I think that's a really important question, and it's one that we need to remember. The federal government hasn't funded any of this, and the state government has put a little bit of money into it so far, but not enough even to cover the first year. And after that, there's no funding yet. So I think it's really important that we be proactive as local community people to let our legislators know what's going on and what our concerns are that we don't have this system in place. So I know that Ryan's going to put on the screen the contact information for our local Richland County legislators, and that's Senator Mark Romanchuk and State Representative Marilyn John. That's in Richland County and some of the surrounding area. But I know this program goes out to more people than that, and I think it's important that everybody find their local legislator and tell them, look, 988 is important. We need to do something about this. You need to give it your full attention and give it the funding and the backing and the infrastructure we've talked about that it needs.
I agree. And, for those of us listening, it's, again, Mark Romanchuk. You can reach him at sd22@ohiosenate.gov, phone number 614-466-7505. And Marilyn John, her number is 614-466-5802. REP03@ohiohouse.gov. Again, it's so important that we advocate for this. I mean, that's one thing that 33 Forever is, and I know Ohio Suicide Prevention Foundation, Joe does it all the time with the Richland County. We need to do that, and what we need to do is make sure that we're loud. What do you think about that, Joe?
Oh, I think absolutely. Voices need to be heard. We have great legislators who want to hear from their constituents. I believe most legislators want to hear from their constituents. You need to take the time to talk. Don't just elect them and then walk away and say, okay, now they'll go do their job. Part of their job is to represent us, the people. We need to make sure that we're being very, very open and honest with them that this is a concern. Again, I love the concept of 988 when it was announced 2 years ago. That was when I was celebrating. This is going to be a great stepping stone. It'd be great anywhere in the country. You can dial 988. You're going to get help. I always emphasize help when you need it. It's just not ready yet. And so we want to make sure that we get it ready.
And it's not necessarily, I just want to say this, it's not necessarily Ohio's fault. I mean, the federal government rolled it out, didn't give a lot of time frame, didn't give any money, but we have to respond and react to what we've been given. And I think it's everybody's job now to make sure we get this system in place as quickly as we possibly can, so we literally save lives that otherwise are going to be lost.
Yes.
It's that serious.
It's that. Well, we're going to take one more break, and we're going to be back with 988 and some final thoughts from our panels.
The need for mental health and addiction services is rising. Life is getting harder. Our day-to-day living situation can be difficult to handle at times, and the pandemic certainly is not helping. Catalyst Life Services has a mental health and addiction urgent care available for all ages. Get the care you need when you need it and without an appointment. If you're facing the challenges of addiction or mental illness, know you can find help at Catalyst Urgent Care. It's the help you need when you need it the most.
Are you over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days? I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. Call now for this free book on maximizing your income in retirement. Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers from leading financial firm J.D. Milberg. That's right, free. This book reveals little-known truths about annuities in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we're about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known truths we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. And it's free.
Call 800-360-9386 for your free guide.
As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report. We researched numerous products and summarized rates and benefits of annuities, all from Sentinel Security Life Insurance Company.
Get your free guide to a comfortable retirement with annuities. Call 800-360-9386. That's 800-360-9386.
Welcome back. We are here tonight to have our final thoughts from our wonderful panel on what we need to remember about 988. Joe, what message do you have for the community? Maybe a message of hope?
My message is please reach out for help. We are seeing spikes in suicide rates across the board, across the state, across the country. Utilize 419-522-HELP. or 419-522-4357. We're going to keep that in place until 988 is ready to go, and you will hear loud and clear when we transition. But we want to make sure that service is available to everyone.
That's great. That's almost like we're going to pretend that 988 is not a number yet. Yeah, Jeff, your thoughts on that, and maybe, I mean, you're the biggest advocate I know for this.
Well, I think the message I want to give everybody, and I was just thinking about it at the break, you know, if you're contacting your legislator, this year is an election year. November's an election, is coming up for elections for most of our Ohio legislature, a lot of it. Everybody ought to ask their legislator, what about 988? What's going on? What are you doing to get this thing where it needs to be and in place? I think it's a really fair question. Again, I'm not blaming anybody, but we need action, not talk. We need action about this so we can roll it out and literally save people's lives. And until then, what Joe said, use the local number.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. Tony, with you, and you know, we talked about this, but what good can we see from this? And do you expect, as a state, the numbers to go up and down, or what are you thinking at the very end here?
So I see that this is going to be, when this is ready to go, or when this is ready, this is really going to be something that is very game-changing in the fact that you know, we're going to be treating mental health as a health situation and a health crisis, and not as a law enforcement response. So I'm really excited about that. In the meantime, to Joe's point, contact your local numbers. Reach out to the board if you need a provider even to help with that. Great advocates like you and Jeff across the state. So really, just continue to reach out, continue to seek the help that's needed.
Well, I just am so, I've said this over and over, how blessed we are in Richland County to have what we have. And, Tony, I'd like you to go into other counties and do this and talk to them to promote their helpline because, or even the normal one, the national 1-800-273-TALK, but just keep those numbers at hand, and we're going to let you guys know when we feel that 988 is really ready to go. Basically, we are wrapping up this show. We thank you so much for everybody, you guys being here to share your points with us on this crossover event of 988. Next week, we're going to come back to our regular focus on North Central Ohio with Shelley Kemper at the 7 o'clock time slot, and we will be back here with us on Sparking the Conversation as we share more stories on people struggling with mental health issues, how we can educate and inspire people. And in the meantime, please watch this show. Send both of these half-hour shows to people you know because this is an important event. Thank you very much and take care of yourselves.